On the day of my wedding, my mother-in-law offered a dowry to add another house. I don't agree. Their family stopped at the door and didn't let me go in to pick up the marriage. Fudi's demon wife rushed out and accused me. Isn't our relationship comparable to a shabby house? Isn't my brother your brother? Shouldn't you give him a set? Look at the greedy face of the mother-in-law's family. I won't get married. Today is my day of great joy. It is said that at the peak of my career, I have another delicate wife. It's a winner in life. Thinking that I would see my wife in a wedding dress later, my heart was about to jump out of excitement. When the welcoming team drove into the mother-in-law's townhouse, suddenly several big men lined up. My brother also joked that the battle was so big that he still saw it for the first time. A few good friends surrounded me into the door and shouted inside, "Sister-in-law, the groom is here." I saw those big men suddenly wow from behind waving a wooden stick. I froze in place and haven't reacted yet. The mother-in-law came out of it with a group of people. She smiled, but her tone couldn't hide the threatening meaning. Yao Yao is my only daughter. It's not so easy for her to be taken away if she gets married. I patted my chest and promised my mother-in-law that I would definitely give Fang Yao happiness. My mother-in-law laughed when she heard it, but the laughter made me very uncomfortable. Zhang Hao, if you want to pick up Yao, you have to add a house to the dowry and sign the transfer on the spot. I took a breath of cold air and looked at my mother-in-law incredibly. My brain was buzzing because of her words. In his heart, he still maintained the superficial harmony. Mom, the dowry has been given 380,000 yuan, plus Sanjin also has 200,000 yuan. These are my family's sincerity. My mother-in-law sneered and said, I haven't changed my mouth to the red envelope yet. This mother's cry is so hot that I dare not. Yao asked me to give you the house. There are so many houses in your house. Take out a set. It's not too much. What kind of robber logic? I have a lot of houses which are also my parents', not mine. Besides, all the expenses for marriage are paid by my family. They only need one person. Isn't that enough? Even the dowry, they used all kinds of excuses to dodge. A kick to the door, do this for me. I put away my smile and said coldly, Auntie, I want Yao to come out and talk to me in person. I pretended to raise my feet, and the big men quickly gathered and formed a wall to stand in front of me. I'm afraid I'm going to break in. Fang Yao came out with small steps in her wedding dress. Zhang Hao, stop it. Today is our wedding day. You can do whatever my mother says, it's just a house, not your life. She continued to be aggressive. Isn't our relationship comparable to a shabby house? Isn't my brother your brother? Shouldn't you give him a set? Me? ? It was really hard for me to get married with my girlfriend Fang Yao. It is hundreds of times more difficult than the Tang Mengshitian to get the scriptures. At first, my parents thought that Fang Yao was not suitable for me, so we could talk about it first. When my parents finally recognized Fang Yao's mother jumped out again to oppose it. I don't think I have money, no house, let alone a car. If her daughter follows me, she may have to drink the northwest wind in the future. In fact, my family conditions are very good. My father has a business mind and invested in real estate when he was young. There are more than a dozen real estates at home. But my father has warned me since I was a child to do things in a high profile and to be a low-key person. It's too ostentatious, which will make many people's eyes red. Fang Yao also asked about my family again and again. I think that since we are going to get married, we don't have to deliberately hide it from Fang Yao. It's just that I only said that my parents wanted to transfer half of the ownership to me. Fang Yao listened, and her big fluttering eyes were shining. She beat my chest coquettishly. I knew that your family must have some money. Are you testing me? I'm not the kind of girl who hates poverty and loves the rich at all. At that time I was confused by love, and I didn't find out why her sudden enthusiasm was. The next day, Fang Yao's mother called me. The tone was also unprecedentedly kind, saying that Fang Yao would marry me, so they still respected Fang Yao's decision. Fang Yao's mother even urged her parents to meet. From making a marriage, discussing dowry, and making a hotel in one go. It's no more than a month before and after this. It's hard to finally have a lover and become a family today. You come to do this for me? There is also a house for the dowry, and there is no room for refusal. No matter how good-tempered I am, there is still a bottom line. I suppressed my anger and looked at Fang Yao, who was standing behind my mother-in-law. Yao, did you really propose the house? Today is our day of great joy. Fang Yao looked at her mother and said righteously, Zhang Hao, do you think I want a house? I'm here for us to live a better life in the future. If you give the house to my brother, then your brother can't separate it. My brother couldn't help but said, Sister-in-law, what do you mean by that? The house was originally my brother's. It doesn't make sense for you to suddenly add another house. My mother-in-law glanced at my brother and said sarcastically, as the saying goes, you must not marry someone who has a brother at home, otherwise everything will be divided in half. Are you saying this for your brother now? Don't think I don't know. I think you are afraid that the house at home will be divided. It's really hypocritical. Zhang Hui, his younger brother, was splashed with dirty water for no reason, with blue veins on his forehead. He pointed to his mother-in-law with a poisonous mouth. You! The mother-in-law said with sharp teeth and said, "What are you? Listen to me, the throne is inherited by the eldest son, and the houses in your family are all your brother and sister-in-law." The mother-in-law's mouth closed one by one, and she spit on her saliva. My head hurts a little. After circling such a big circle, it turned out that all their thoughts were on the house. This appearance is inevitably too ugly. I'm really speechless about this family. At the beginning, my parents didn't complain about the dowry of 380,000 yuan, and they patted the board cheerfully. It was hard to get married. Fang Yao's mother suddenly got in trouble on the day of the wedding. In the left sentence, the two brothers can have a bowl of water. The palms and backs of the hands on the right are full of meat. How can these 6 houses be divided? Don't go to court in the future and everyone knows. My parents lost their smiles on the spot. My parents have their own decision on how to divide the house. It's not their turn to take care of it. If it hadn't been for my face, my parents would have slammed the door and left. Dowry and hardware are given according to the highest specifications. Hearing such a high dowry, the corners of my mouth almost flew to the sky. He turned his head and began to be weird again. My family is 2 brothers. In this case, why did you make so many requests in the first place? This is done and established. Who should I show it to? I held my breath, and Fang Yao handed me a look and asked me to endure it. Looking at her affectionate eyes, I softened in an instant. The scene was embarrassing for a while. Fang Yao's mother said that the dowry asked her father to take it quickly. My daughter Chun Li Juan can't be married by any cat or a dog. The fortune teller said that she is destined to bring wealth, so she is the best son-in-law of our Fang family. We Yao are determined to marry Jing Hao, otherwise I can't bear to marry my daughter out so early. Fang Yao's mother is implicitly hinting that I am not worthy of her daughter. But I have also been to Fang Yao's house, which is a townhouse built by myself in the township, and I don't have much money. It's only my bad luck to have such a mother-in-law. Later, my mother felt sorry for me, and took the initiative to say that the 2 brothers were the same and would never be biased. Let Fang Yao's parents relax. Fang Yao's mother still didn't give up. Then make a word, and it's also considered to make a will in advance. Otherwise, if the father-in-law and mother have an accident one day, this house may make the 2 brothers turn against each other. Before the words got to fruit, the parents turned black in an instant. Fang Yao pulled her mother under the table and asked her mother not to say anything. Shut up if you can't speak. Good days will make everyone unhappy. Fang Yao's mother curled her lips and muttered, "It's really spilled water." Before she passed the door, she was helping her mother-in-law's family. Her voice lowered, but it still fell into my ears clearly. Fang Yao bit her lips tightly and tried to suppress the tears in her eyes. Looking at the future mother-in-law so much, I am more and more determined to give her happiness. I thought that after marriage, as long as I don't live with Fang Yao's mother, there will be less right and wrong. Fang Yao and I will also get over the better. However, the bloody drama that happened later taught me a lesson. Reality slapped me even harder. I never thought that he would give me this at this time of the reception. I guess it's just the wedding day, and I dare not do anything to them. Even if they want 2 houses, I will give it to them stubbornly. Unfortunately, they were wrong. Zheng Hui was afraid that he would not be able to receive the bride. His parents were in a hurry to wait in the hotel, so they persuaded each other. "Uncle and aunt, we can talk about this house after the wedding banquet, and the house will not run away. Let my brother and sister-in-law discuss it at that time." He tried to ease the tension in a relaxed tone. "Sister-in-law, thinking about reaching out and not hitting the smiling person. It's just that if you are on the steps of others, they may not receive this affection." The father-in-law didn't say anything when he heard it. He just put his arm against his mother-in-law. The mother-in-law said, "Don't think I don't know. You want to fool us and take my daughter away. Don't you want to rely on our house? If you give it, you will get married. If you don't give it, you won't get married." Zheng Hui was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. Mom and Dad thought we had picked up the bride, so they called to urge us and asked when we would arrive at the hotel. Zheng Hui took his mobile phone and ran aside to answer the phone, asking his parents to wait a little longer. The mother-in-law raised her chin and said harsh words here, which made it clear that she would not give us a way out. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Fang Yao's little mouth flattened and persuaded me with pear blossoms. "Zheng Hao, you have so many houses in your family. Just take out a set for my brother. He won't have to worry about getting married in the future." My heart cooled down inch by inch in her words. "No matter what your brother's wedding room is, it's not my turn to go out." I told myself to give Fang Yao one last chance. If she was forced by her parents, there is still a possibility that my wedding with her will change. I'm not scared. Do you really think I care about a wedding banquet? What I care about is that everyone wholeheartedly helped us arrange the wedding so perfectly, but it was ruined by the greed of the other party. Fang Yao was so anxious that she stamped her feet. "Zheng Hao, why don't you understand? If you refuse to add another house, and then give it all to your brother, then we will be empty with the bamboo basket. You give the house to my brother. Isn't it left-handed and right-handed? Bullshit." I raised the corners of my mouth and stared coldly at the beautiful Fang Yao in front of me. Suddenly, I felt that this woman had become very strange. The mother-in-law came to a conclusion domineeringly and has been angry. You still say that this boy loves you to death, and he refuses to give us a house. What kind of love is it? You still want to marry someone else's daughter for nothing. Why don't you grab it? I thought she was farting, but I fixed my eyes on Fang Yao in a white wedding dress. Fang Yao, if you don't have a house, you won't get in the car, right? Fang Yao looked back at me with resentful eyes. Yes. Take out the house and I'll drive right away. Fang Yao's words made me make a decision on the spot. Do you think Yao Yao will not find a better mother-in-law's family after leaving you? Mother-in-law, no, it was Chun Li Juan who completely angered me with my arrogant expression. I called my father in front of Fang Yao's family. Dad, I'm not getting married today. Wait for me to go back to the hotel and explain it to you. That's right, I won't do it. What? Zheng Hao, what did you say? How dare you not get married? Hu Lijuan questioned me with a sharp voice. I laughed at her words. Maybe it was Hu Lijuan who saw that I didn't look like I was slying her, and then she finally realized that she had kicked my iron plate. Since I got off the wedding car, Hu Lijuan threatened me by not marrying the house. A good matchmaking turned into a joke under her demon. Now that her wish has been fulfilled, I really don't want to do it, and she began to panic again. I tore off my tie, took off my suit, and threw it all to the ground. Zheng Hao, are you crazy? You want to sleep with my sister for nothing, and you don't want to be responsible. Fang Yao's younger brother Fang Basen jumped 3 feet high, clenched his fist, and came to fight with me at any time. Thank you very much for buttoning such a big hat on my head. Me? I was also slept by your sister. How can I calculate this account? Isn't it just hurting each other? Come on, I'll accompany you to the end. Fang Yao rushed out of it, her face full of disbelief. Zheng Hao, you said you didn't get married? Are you kidding me? What do you think of me? What do you think of our relationship in the past few years? I asked Fang Yao back. What did your family think of me when they opened their mouth to exchange the house for their daughter? Is your family selling your daughter? Hearing the words, Fang Yao raised her hand and slapped me. Zheng Hao, you bastard. I really don't understand. I repeatedly gave in and agreed to her unreasonable demands, but in the end I became my bastard. Fang Yao, if you really loved me, you wouldn't have done this. Just now, when Hu Lijuan forced me to add another house, I saw Fang Yao laughing. The woman who is going to spend the rest of her life with me is blatantly calculating me. No one can stand this. Chun Lijuan excitedly came forward to hit me, but was quickly blocked by me. Little rabbit, I raised Yao Yao so big that a house is already cheap for your family, and 10 houses are not too much. My daughter, what's wrong with me? My daughter was raised so big, was it for nothing? If she doesn't help her brother get more dowry, is it worthy of our shit and urine? Hu Lijuan's 3 questions of her soul are simply shocking. I can't stop Fang Yao from becoming a helper demon, but I don't want to wrong myself and become a fool to pay the bill. The house at home is only owned by my parents who have worked hard all their lives. It is impossible for the other party to give up to people with a light sentence. For the sake of the house, everyone in the Fang family is a set of rhetoric. Fang Yao's contradictory words have broken my trust in her. They are obviously targeting my brother, and every sentence is provoking the brotherhood of our brothers. My brother is already very angry. Since Fang Yao's parents knew that I had a younger brother, my brother did bear too many unfounded accusations. It's just that my patience at the beginning was only because of Fang Yao. Now my wife doesn't want it. At worst, it's better to be single for a lifetime than to be empty in the last bamboo basket. I Zheng Hao am a man with iron bones. I can't stand this cowardly. Ask yourself what I gave Fang Yao is the best, worthy of my 5-year relationship with Fang Yao. Most of the salary was spent on her, and the stars in the sky were almost picked for her. It's just that sometimes sincerity may not be exchanged for sincerity. Fang Yao knew that I never asked my family for a penny when I went to college. Now she wants me to use a house in my father's name as a dowry, which is tantamount to wiping my neck with a knife. It's bearable and unbearable. I really can't do it. Since Fang's family said they would not give me a pickup, why should I force others? Then let's break up at once. Let's go back to each other's home and find one's own mother. I raised a self-deprecating smile. Fang Yao, just think I'm sorry for you. If you really know me, you won't vent your nose with your family today. I really shouldn't have added so many calculations to your marriage. Hearing this, Fang Yao covered her face with her hands and shook her head desperately. Zheng Hao, how can you do this? Fang Basen waved his fist at me again in anger, and was stopped by my good friends who were the best men in time. He was pressed to the ground by the best men and roared at me in embarrassment. Zheng, if you dare not get married, I will destroy you today. Isn't it just a house? You turned away on the spot. My sister slept for you for 5 years, and it cost hundreds of thousands of yuan to call a young lady. Fang Basen spit out fragrance in his mouth and shouted that he wanted to beat me to death. After saying that, he shouted for the men with the stick to hit me. I immediately took out my hand and turned on the camera. If you dare to do it, I will sell the house and send you all to step on the sewing machine. I have a house. If you don't believe it, you can try it. Those people are tough on the surface but cowardly on the inside. While they hesitated, I grabbed my brother and quickly got into the wedding car with him. Fang Yao's family was completely angry. My brother Zheng Hui looked at me apologetically. Brother, I'm sorry. Otherwise, let's discuss it with our parents again. The woman's family is like this today because she is afraid that I will take too much of the family property. I guess it's also for the sake of you and Fang Yao's family. I shook my head and said firmly, shall we? It has nothing to do with you. I don't agree with Fang Yao. If you get married, there will be constant conflicts in the future. When I calmed down, I realized that I was really not suitable for Fang Yao. I thought to myself, fortunately, I didn't get the certificate. It's not that I don't want to get the certificate. Instead, Hu Lijuan insisted on choosing a good day, and asked my family to take the door-to-door gift of 188,000 yuan before taking out the household registration book. I don't want my parents to pay for this, so I just want to get the certificate after the wedding. Unexpectedly, Hu Lijuan's greed saved me. All the cultivation of Fang's parents and Yao turned into a disguised affectionate exploitation in the end. To put it difficultly, Fang Yao is an item that is sold by waiting for the price. She is really the master of money even if she is sold by her family. My family has been paying for the wedding since it was prepared. The Fang family is a bottomless pit. In order to save his wife's money for Fang Buqiang, he can really do anything. As soon as I arrived at the hotel, I quickly explained it to everyone. The wedding banquet was cancelled, but the wine and food were still served as usual. When the guests heard such a thing for the first time, they looked at each other and listened to each other. It's all here. You can't let a group of relatives come for nothing in their busy schedule. The relatives of the Fang family picked up the phone and should have asked Fang Yao's parents. I thought about it. I'll only go to the banquet of our relatives here. As for the relatives of the Fang family, I don't care. The moment I announced the cancellation of the wedding in public, I felt more relaxed than ever. It seemed that the burden that had been weighing on my shoulders suddenly disappeared. My parents listened to my words and were silent one after another. I know them too well. If I open my mouth, they will compromise in the end. Fang's family made excessive demands again and again because they were aware of my family's point. When it is broken, it will continue to suffer from its chaos. On the day of the wedding, my mother-in-law and wife asked me to give my brother-in-law another house, saying that they would not let my brother share more property. 39,103. It's never my style to drag mud in water. After several contacts with Fang's family, I know that they will definitely mess around to the end. Therefore, I asked my brother to take my parents away first. I also specially informed the manager of the hotel that the expenses on the other side of the woman were asked to settle directly with the other party. Fang Yao's family can't swallow this breath and will definitely come to the hotel to make a fuss. Several men from Fang's family surrounded me. Hu Lijuan must be on her way. It's just that I came with Fang Yao and the police. Hu Lijuan was emotional and pointed at me. Comrade policeman, it's him who cheated on marriage. He lied to my daughter. Look at how my daughter cried. This scumbag still beat her. The police took a look and asked me what was wrong. I explained the whole story of the matter. I also took out the video of Hu Lijuan standing at the gate of her house and saying that she would not get married if she didn't give her a house. The policeman took a meaningful glance at Hu Lijuan. Hu Lijuan curled her lips uncomplainingly and rolled her eyes at me. Fortunately, the best men recorded the video with a mobile phone at that time, otherwise I would have jumped into the Yellow River and couldn't wash it. Fang Yao questioned me in front of everyone. How can you do this to me? Your wedding was cancelled. How can I still have the face to live in the future? Aren't you forcing me to die? My relatives all know that I am a second-hand man. How can I get married in the future? The brain is a good thing, but it's a pity that Fang Yao doesn't. This is self-deprecation. Fang Yao's father Fang Daqiang was also so anxious that he jumped. Before leaving, I told them that the wedding would be cancelled and the dowry would be returned. Although I don't know if I can get the dowry back, it can't be too cheap for them. In our second-tier cities, the dowry is only more than 100,000 yuan, and rarely more than 200,000 yuan. My family took away 370,000 yuan. How could they be willing to spit it out again? However, their greed really disgusts me. Seeing that the police didn't help her, Hu Lijuan rolled up her sleeves and wanted to fight with me. Relatives on both sides rubbed their fists and palms, almost causing a group fight. Seeing that the situation was serious, the police pulled several of us to the police station to make a transcript. Before leaving, I gave the hotel manager a win. The hotel manager was willing and quickly pulled Fang Daqiang, who was about to leave. Let him settle half of the banquet fee before leaving. Fang Daqiang, who was very popular, stared at the bull's eyes and could only reluctantly take out his mobile phone. When I saw the list of accounts, my jaw was about to fall off. That's right, each table is 10,000 yuan and 15 tables, then you have to pay 165,000 yuan. I just want to let him know that they are actually ruining Fang Yao's happiness by pulling Fang Yao like this. When Hu Lijuan learned that Fang Daqiang had paid more than 100,000 yuan for the banquet, she burst into tears. At the police station, the two of them quarreled so loudly that the roof of the office building was lifted. Fang Yao also spread rumors that I hit her for no reason, and she rolled up her sleeves with bruises. I refuted on the spot and took out another video to prove my innocence. It turned out that after I left with my brother, Fang De was so angry that he took it out on Fang Yao. They are also going to blame Fang Yao's injuries to me. It's just that a friend who came to help with the wedding at the scene recorded this video. I finished the transcript and left under Fang Yao's resentful eyes. This kind of woman doesn't deserve me to be so good to her. This time I left very decisively. I don't know how things came to this point. My family is well off, and I won't treat Fang Yao unfairly at all. I don't understand why I used my marriage with Fang Yao to fill her brother's bottomless hole. I fell asleep as soon as I got home, sleeping in a drow. Fang Yao always complains about how I hurt her, but she doesn't even think about whether what I have given to her in the past few years is fake. In my sleep I heard the door being knocked, but I was so tired that I fell asleep again. It was the next afternoon when I opened my eyes again. As soon as I turned on my mobile phone, there were hundreds of WeChat messages in it. I clicked on the pin Fang Yao and she sent me a lot. She said that adding a house was her mother's idea. She was forced to be helpless. She also said that she was just a younger brother, and she couldn't watch him get married. Every voice of her voice was full of crying, begging bitterly, saying that she couldn't lose me. I was irritably out of the chat box with her. Hu Lijuan also sent me a lot of messages. I originally wanted to blacklit her, but I didn't expect that I accidentally clicked in. When I saw one of the messages, my pupils shook. Zhang Hao, it's impossible for you to abandon your wife and children. My daughter is pregnant. She is the grandson of your Zhang family. You don't want to rely on her. An obstetric examination form is also attached to the back. Suddenly, I think it's right not to get married, because this child is not mine at all. Putting down my mobile phone, I saw myself in the mirror opposite. There is a faint green light on the messy head. Haha, I also had a day when I was cheated. Before I could calm down, my mobile phone shook. It's my father. Son, go home. Fang Yao's family is here. My father's tone is a little eager. Abominable. Unexpectedly, it's here again. Do you want me to be this green king turtle? Dream. When I went out, I saw several holes in the gate of my house. If you think about it with your toes, you know who did it. I rushed home in a hurry, and it was difficult to get rid of these plague gods. Fang Yao wants to burn jade and stone, and use such a bad means to force me to be like. But I really haven't touched her. How can I get pregnant? The list above says 3 months pregnant. This year, I have been on a business trip and came back a month ago to prepare for the wedding. I remember clearly that the last time we did it was a year ago. Fang Yao has always emphasized that spiritual love is the most touching, and I have always respected her ideas. He played Play-Doh with me, but he went to find a man to fool around behind my back. What a white lotus flower. No wonder she covered up when she tried on the wedding dress. I also asked her why she gained a lot of weight. She pouted and deliberately said that she was happy and fat. I'm going. Before I entered the door, I heard the sound of smashing things inside. I pushed open the covered door and saw Fang Basen swung up the solid wood chair and smashed it at the Qing dynasty blue and white porcelain in the corner of the living room. The loud voice shocked everyone present. Fang Basen pulled his throat to intimidate my parents. My brother stopped in front of his parents, fearing that Fang's family would hurt Lao. Fang Basen, why are you crazy in my house? If you dare to hurt my family, believe it or not, I will make you unable to eat and walk around. Fang Bo saw me deeply, put his tongue on his cheek, and took a mouthful of thick phlegm to the ground. He smiled like a social hooligan. You think I'm afraid of you? I didn't hit anyone. It's useless for you to call the police now. Tell me, how to solve my sister's problem. I'll give you a way to live, 2 houses and a Maserati. There are 50 tables for the wedding banquet, and each table is set at the top price. You have made my sister's stomach bigger. If you don't give us a satisfactory answer today, I will smash your house today. Fang's family stared at me arrogantly, thinking that they could eat it to death this time. I locked Fang Yao, who looked fluctuated. Fang Yao, I have left enough decory for you when we broke up. Do you have to tear off the shame cloth on your body? You are pregnant. Whose child is it? You are very clear in your heart. I won't be this pickup man even if I die. After listening to my words, my tense face finally eased a little. Hu Lijuan raised her voice and roared at me. You fart. My daughter is innocent and has only been with you as a man. Now you are going to break up with your pants. Do you think we will agree? Fang Yao told her mother to stop talking with tears in her eyes. Her parents turned around and took turns scolding their daughter like a machine gun. The language is dirty and unsightly. Fang Daqiang looked at my parents, and his words were full of contempt. Dear husband, don't you really want your grandson? It seems that the richer the people are, the more they have. My mother kept in peace. Mr. Fang, this is Zhang Hao's business. We respect any of his choices. Fang Basen picked up a piece of vase on the ground and put it against my neck. You have the ability to sleep with my sister, but you don't have the ability to take responsibility, do you? I'll kill you today. Before he could do it, I raised my kick and kicked his lower body. Steady, accurate, and ruthless. With a ouch, he fell to the ground like a dead fish, and his facial features were distorted. Fang Yao's eyes cried like a walnut. Zheng Hao, this child is from your Zheng family. I have been with you for so many years. Don't you know enough about me? After saying this, she fainted on the ground. Fang Daqiang and Hu Lijuan only felt sorry for whether their precious son was injured. He didn't care about Fang Yao, who had fainted, at all. Or my father took out his mobile phone and dialed 120. As soon as 120 came, Fang's family directly asked the accompanying doctor to carry Fang Basen into the car first. Whether the daughter is dead or alive seems to have nothing to do with them. Fang Daqiang was sure that I deliberately hurt people and asked me to compensate for his son's medical expenses, lost work and mental damage. If it weren't for beating people to break the law, I would really want to slap this dead old man to death. When I arrived at the hospital, Fang's family called a group of relatives to block me and my brother in the hospital. Looking at this battle, they are foiling me. A group of relatives behind Hu Lijuan supported her. My brother was so angry. He said that it was the first time he knew what a scoundrel was when he was so big. I just want to end this farce early. They think there are so many people and I'm really not afraid of them. Since you want to make a big fuss, let's make a fuss to the end. In the end, it is not certain who will eat it. The nurses in the hospital were afraid that we would have a conflict in the hospital, so they chose to call the police directly. In front of the police, I threw out all the trips for the past 6 months. The policeman gave me a sympathetic look while making a transcript. I think his eyes are shining green when he looks at me. I was transferred back from other places a month ago. How did my girlfriend get 3 months pregnant? When everyone heard it, their faces were full of expressions. This powerful gossip directly touched the nerves of the melon-eating masses present. Fang Yao rushed out of the ward with a cloak. Zheng Hao, why do you treat me like this? What did I do wrong? I just want to marry you. Whose child is in my belly? Is it important? The important thing is that we love each other, isn't it? Listening to Fang Yao's illogical words, everyone took a breath of cold air. This cheating is so righteous. Seeing that she was out of her side, Hu Lijuan suddenly grabbed my brother's arm. Zheng Hao, Yu Yao's belly is your brother's seed. Your brother carried you on his back and pried the corner of your wall. What do you think your brother is? He staged a deep brotherhood every day. Who do you show it to? If you don't marry Yao Yao, let your brother be responsible. My anger rushed straight to the heavenly spirit cover. Every sentence refreshes my cognitive bottom line. This man must be a dog. He has to catch my family and bite him. My brother's chest was ups and downs, and his mouth said it was not good. When did I have sex with Fang Yao? You must be sick. My brother's girlfriend, how can I provoke her? Hu Lijuan retorted viciously. Comrade policeman, look, this photo is proof it's that bastard. Fang Yao also stood up and identified Zheng Hui with the posture of a victim. Zheng Hui is naked in the photo in Fang Yao's hand. Zheng Hui denied it. You must be sick. Nonsense. Brother, I'm wronged. Fang Yao is as pale as paper, but her tears are like beads that break the thread. She also said that she was sorry for me and should not be forced by Zheng Hui. The more I listen to it, the more I feel that this family is terrible. In the chaos, my parents also coincidentally showed up in the hospital. They looked at Zheng Hui and Fang Yao in disbelief. How could Zheng Hui, who has always been upright, have something to do with Fang Yao? Even the policeman who was dealing with the dispute couldn't help shaking his head. There is no bloodiest, only more blood. Hu Lijuan stood at the moral high point and roared at my parents. One of your 2 sons must be responsible for my daughter. My Yao Yao's reputation is ruined by your youngest son, and the dowry has to add another 400,000 yuan. Otherwise, I will make your Zheng family unable to raise their heads in the whole North City. Humph. I thought my family was in a bank, but it was 400,000 yuan. If my parents are not here, it will be easy to deal with. But someone deliberately called my parents to the hospital just to play this role. I'm by my brother's side, telling him not to be impulsive. I'm not afraid of being broken with Fang Yao and others. Yao have completely died. I'm worried that my parents will be hurt, because this matter involves Zheng Hui's privacy. But if you don't make things clear, Fang Yao will spread rumors about Zheng Hui, which will also be the stain of his life. I fell into a dilemma. Zheng Hui suddenly walked to Fang Yao's mother and daughter who slandered him. This photo is fake. I have never been with Fang Yao at all. Since you have to hit the muzzle of the gun, I'll make you bastards understand. Zheng Hui went to the men's department. Soon he took a list and threw it on Hu Lijuan's old face. Damn old lady, open your dog's eyes wide. The old demon woman narrowed her eyes and said, As for me, I said, I have arranged a lawyer. You can wait for the summons. Some of the crimes of infringement of reputation are yours. Hu Lijuan shook her head crazily. She didn't believe that she slapped her face so quickly. He even questioned the test sheet. You must have bribed the doctor and asked the doctor to fake the form. You don't even recognize your own species. You Zheng family are waiting for the broken children and grandchildren. Soon my old classmate's lawyer rushed to the hospital, and I gave him the full authority to deal with this bad thing. As the eldest brother, I feel that I owe a lot to Zheng Hui. It's because I'm carried away by love and don't know people. Zheng Hui knew that he couldn't hide it from his parents, so he took the initiative to tell his parents about his azurmia. Instead, my parents didn't think about it as much as we feared, but in turn comforted Zheng Hui. The lack of fertility did not prevent him from being their best youngest son at all. They took the initiative to admit that they were wrong, and they should not have forced us to start a family and a career. On the other hand, Fang Yao's family is biting a dog at the moment. After I saw the next work of the Fang family, I hired a private detective at a high price. Cha Fang Yao. It's just that I didn't expect so many dirty things behind Fang Yao. Fang Yao is one of their pawns. During my business trip to the branch, Fang Yao was recurred by her mother, and often came into contact with rich men. Hu Lijuan wants Fang Yao to ride a donkey to find a horse and find a richer one. Each subject is in their 40s and 50s. I calculated the timeline, and there were 4 men who had contact with Fang Yao at the same time 3 months ago. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed that Fang Yao was playing so much in secret. I looked at a stack of records of opening a room, and my heart was mixed. I forwarded the pregnancy test form sent to me by Fang Yao one by one according to the mobile phone number on the information. The photo of Fang Yao slandering my brother is not true. They are looking for someone to pee, and I even found that store. Soon, the 4 aunts went to Fang Yao to settle the score. Hu Lijuan is not a human being. Let the little sisters only introduce rich and married people. Because at that time, Fang Bossen found a girlfriend and was so anxious that he got engaged. Fang Yao asked me to take the money, and I asked her if the card I gave her was out of money. She hesitated and was vague. The card is my bonus and year-end bonus, a total of 80,000 yuan. I told her honestly that the money in my hand should be lent to good friends excessively. As soon as she heard that I had no money, she immediately shook her face. Fang Yao quarreled with me several times for this matter. Hu Lijuan took the opportunity to arrange for her daughter to contact more successful people. A slap can't make a sound. Fang Yao didn't want to. How could she communicate with others in bed? And all the money those men gave to Fang Yao helped Fang Bossen repay the online loan. The dowry was given to the woman, and the woman did not agree to get married in a few days. Nonsense, just like Fang Bossen is idle. How can a girl really like him? Later, Fang Yao unexpectedly learned that she was pregnant, and then she thought of marrying me. She probably doesn't know who the child's father is, so she can only let me be a painless father. Who told me that it's better to cheat? 4 aunts fought together to make Fang Yao give birth. Fang Yao called me lying in the hospital and said that she knew it was wrong, and that she didn't want to give up her 5-year relationship with me. At this point, I don't think I will get back together with her. I originally wanted to get together and break up, but at this point Fang Yao still came to pester me. Fang Yao, you made a mistake with today's result. Don't come to me in the future. Fang Yao was on the other end of the phone, silent and scary. Then her collapsed voice penetrated. I'm just a younger brother. If I don't help him, his life will be over. You also have a younger brother, you should understand. What's wrong with me? Did I do something wrong? I'm right. Then she suddenly thought of something. You found those old ladies, didn't you? Zhenghao, you really did your best to break up. I hung up the phone with a pop. Fang Yao continued to bomb me. I directly blacklisted her. Poor people must have something hateful. Fang Bossen received a summons from the court and asked my parents to settle the score with a kitchen knife. At the gate of the community, I happened to meet my father, who came back from buying vegetables and wanted to cut my father. With scarlet eyes, he said that he was going to dig my ancestral grave, so that my family would not live in peace in the future. I gave him a pair of silver bracelets and let him go to the detention center to dream. I don't want to reconcile. The Fang family almost ruined me and my brother. Fang Bossen was sentenced to 3 years for the crime of abetment and intentional injury. The vase he broke in my house last time was an antique, worth 600,000 yuan, and the original price was compensated. Hu Lijuan refused to compensate. I directly asked the court to enforce it. So the old man hanging in Fang Bossen's name was seized and auctioned. Now it's finally Fang Daqiang and Hu Lijuan's turn to cry every day. Later, I accidentally learned that Fang Yao had quarreled with his parents. Her mother was cruel and forced Fang Daqiang to beat Fang Yao into a cripple. Fang Yao called the police, but later she didn't know why. I heard that she issued a letter of understanding. Fang Daqiang sold Fang Yao to an old man born with a disability in the countryside with a dowry of 100,000 yuan. Fang Daqiang is still looking for a lawyer and asks for a second trial. Take the money to sell your daughter to save your son, and don't be afraid of thunderbolts. Fang Yao tried to contact me in various ways and begged me to save her. I'm not ruthless, but I want to respect Fang Yao's fate. I transferred 5,000 yuan to Fang Yao through my mutual friends. My life has returned to calm. My parents no longer urge our brothers to get married. They said that our will is fully respected. I don't think I will reject starting a new relationship. It's just that at this stage I want to work harder in my career. Life is always like this, with gains and losses. It has fallen. Let's do it again.